Welcome to Journey to the Moon. Today is June 29th, 2017. Lots of green in the crypto space today as the market cap is back over 100 billion. In today's show, I'm going to talk about America looking to regulate Bitcoin and ICOs as the rest of the world looks to implement Bitcoin and blockchain technology. Uncle Sam wants to know how much Bitcoin you have by looking to pass a bill that would require users to declare cryptocurrency assets exceeding $10,000 whenever they cross the U.S. border. Terrorist organizations, drug cartels, and other criminals are looking to actively exploit and harm Americans with Bitcoin. Terrorist groups and transnational criminal organizations wouldn't be able to finance their activities without illegal funds. Blocking these funds is an effective way to disrupt these organizations and prevent crime and terrorism. We're living in a time where the threats of our enemies are constantly evolving, and it's not enough to fight terrorism and crime in a reactionary manner. One of the best ways to track crime and serious threats to our country is to follow the money. That's why we need to crack down on the range of tricks criminals and terrorists can use to launder their dirty money to sustain their illegal enterprises. There's no more than anecdotal evidence that terrorist groups have used virtual currencies to support themselves. Expect some form of regulation. Most government organizations are still exploring blockchain and cryptocurrency's potential. It is only a matter of time until some sort of regulation is put in place for Bitcoin and ICOs, as there's still a growing interest in various government regulating bodies, especially the SEC and Senate. So you scroll down the comment, you can get a feel of what people think about Uncle Sam knowing how much Bitcoin they have. So speaking of the SEC, it's still eyeing to regulate the ICO market. But ultimately, the Federal Reserve simply does not have the authority to supervise or regulate Bitcoin in any way. The best to my knowledge, there is no intersection at all in any way between Bitcoin and the banks that the Federal Reserve has the ability to supervise and regulate. To be classified as securities, the company owning cryptocurrencies would need to provide shares. Even the most legitimate and fiscally sound ICOs pose a potential threat for the issuers. Coins or tokens can look a lot like traditional securities because they enable companies to take investors' cash while holding out the potential for profit, and selling securities without SEC approval violates federal law. While ICO tokens continue to be traded without government regulations, it's only a matter of time until SEC would come up with some form of regulation that may ultimately cause a setback to many blockchain companies in the ICO. Again, you can read the comments to see how people react to that. But that's also a big reason why you see many ICOs say that you cannot be a U.S. citizen when you sign up for the ICO, as America wants to regulate the market. A bullish article from the American Banker editor talks about how censorship resistance is what matters most in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's most important feature, however, is not its cost or speed of transactions, nor its account privacy or exchange rate with the dollar. Bitcoin's key feature is its censorship resistance, which addresses a real problem. Centralization can offer efficiencies, but it presents points of failure that are vulnerable to social or political pressure. Consider how governments forced banks to stop funding WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks was able to accept Bitcoin donations, demonstrating the benefit of a decentralized system. E-commerce providers span the ideological spectrum and can pressure payment systems and governments to stifle speech they don't like. 2 years ago, activists angered by a police shooting in South Carolina forced Amazon, eBay, and other companies to stop selling merchandise, including toys with Confederate flag. And as we all know, censorship is expanding around the world, but blockchain, Bitcoin technology can help solve those issues in terms of receiving payment. And the article goes on to say that the block size debate is what threatened Bitcoin the most. But as we all know, Segwit2x looks like a go, and I'll get into that later. But speaking of censorship and privacy, Tone Vase, who is somewhat of a Bitcoin maximalist, is bullish on Monero, as in his last video he drew a triangle, a bullish triangle for Monero on the weekly chart, saying that it looks like a good buy purely on technical analysis and textbook triangle. Russia's parliament is discussing the legalization of Bitcoin. So here we have the rest of the world looking to legalize Bitcoin and understand Bitcoin. But ultimately, the Bank of Russia has stated in a conference that the country could develop its own national digital currency. But first, Burger King to accept Bitcoin in Russia this summer. So grab yourself a Whopper. Bitcoin accepted by this 80-year-old Thai noodle shop in Bangkok, Thailand. Again, here's another restaurant that looks to accept Bitcoin for everyday transactions. I think cryptocurrencies or digital currencies will become a very important technology in the future. These technologies will definitely change the way we make financial transactions. No major delays. The confirmation takes a few minutes, but it's not a very big deal. The Bank of Thailand did ban Bitcoin temporarily in 2013. But other than that, they are accepting Bitcoin. So we have Russia accepting Bitcoin and Thailand accepting Bitcoin, as Indian states go big on blockchain for land registry and pensions. Indian state government databases are frequently targeted by cyber criminals for the sheer volume of citizens' information stored in them. Within 6 through 8 months, land records on blockchain can go on blockchain to prevent any kind of duplication or forgery within the revenue department's data on pensions, etc. So India is not talking about a particular cryptocurrency coin, but the implementation of blockchain technology. Barclays spoke to regulators about bringing Bitcoin into play. We have been talking to a couple of fintechs to talk about how we could bring the equivalent of Bitcoin, not necessarily Bitcoin, but cryptocurrencies into play. So here we have Barclays being aware of Bitcoin technology and looking for a way to use that to their advantage. Again, we also know about Australia and Japan welcoming Bitcoin. So it's good to see that the rest of the world is catching on, at least if not at Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency. They're looking to implement the actual blockchain technology as the world moves forward. But with the increase of Bitcoin around the world from everyday transactions like lunch and noodles and Whoppers, is going to increase the transactions around the world. And is Bitcoin ready for prime time? Can it handle that daily demand? And this is where SegWit is supposed to lower transaction fees and increase transaction speeds. As someone was saying that why would you pay $2 fee for a $3 burger? But this is again where Segwit2x is supposed to come in and answer that problem. So I was watching the Crypto News Network number 43, and you know Vox, Vortex, and Charlie Sherm and the rest of the guys They're pretty much all bullish on SegWit happening, as well as the rest of the crypto community. Everybody wants SegWit. It's pretty much July 21st or before August 1st. SegWit is a go. Of course, with crypto, nothing's guaranteed in crypto, but everybody's happy. Everybody's saying that SegWit's going to happen, and it should answer these questions. Of course, down the road, the increase the block size is a different argument. But as far as SegWit coming online, everybody's happy. Everybody says it's a go, and it looks like it'll be coming very soon to Bitcoin. But not only SegWit, Rootstock is coming to Bitcoin soon. The stability and performance of Bitcoin price has solidified its dominance as a currency, and soon developers may flock to Bitcoin to form side chains or extensions, bringing unification to developer innovation and stable economics. Rootstock passed their testnet launch called Turmeric recently and is slated for livenet release in mid-2017. Developers can already start experimenting and deploying testnet applications. In addition, RSK uses the Ethereum virtual machine, giving developers nearly all of the same functionalities as Ethereum and the familiar Solidity compiler. In some cases, developers will need to modify code so it's not identical, but enough so that existing Ethereum applications will run without extreme modifications. Let's see what Rootstock says about the potential in their own words. Rootstock represents the culmination of 4 years of blockchain technology improvements, and it will allow the cryptocurrency ecosystem to make use of the best features of programmable money and payments while increasing Bitcoin value. So overall, besides Uncle Sam wanting to know how much Bitcoin you have and the SEC looking to regulate ICOs, everything else is pretty bullish in terms of the use case and other countries around the world accepting Bitcoin and experimenting with blockchain technology. Everything is bullish. Everybody's happy that SegWit's gonna happen or believes it's gonna happen. Rootstock is a possibility, which would allow smart contracts on Bitcoin. So everything's good. Everything's a thumbs up. Obviously, it's good to see more green in June 29th. So I feel pretty good. It's all bullish news. Of course, the volatility of the market, no one can really predict it. But I feel pretty good. I mean, obviously we're back over 100 billion. We didn't tumble down to 84, 85 billion, and we're back over 100 billion. I feel pretty good, and everything's bullish. And I just see more and more bullish articles in countries accepting Bitcoin, Rootstock, SegWit. I mean, I think everything's good. So let me know what you're going to do. Buy, sell, or hold. Let me know what you're going to do. Until then, I'll see you on the moon.